Amplify Your Influence. Transform How You Communicate and Lead by René Rodriguez. Introduction. Did you know that the average company loses around $11,000 per employee every single year due to poor communication? Let that number sink in for a moment. That's not some abstract figure from a boring report. It's a silent crisis unfolding in boardrooms, during sales calls, and even across the dinner table. We are swimming in an ocean of communication tools: email, social media, instant messaging. And yet, we have never been more profoundly misunderstood. You've been there, haven't you? You pitch a brilliant, game-changing idea, and it's met with a soul-crushing silence. You try to inspire your team, to light a fire in them, but your words turn to smoke and vanish before your eyes. You share a story from the very core of your being, only to be met with blank stares and polite, empty nods. These moments leave us feeling invisible, insignificant, and utterly powerless. We start to believe that our ideas have no value, that we have no value. But let me tell you something crucial. This is not a personal failing, it is a trap. We've been ensnared by a great and pervasive lie. The myth that being direct, logical, and to the point is the master key to effective communication. We've been meticulously taught to deliver our messages like a cold, hard set of facts, stripped of all context and emotion. What is the result of this? This approach is like trying to plant a precious seed in solid concrete, and then wondering in frustration why nothing grows. It willfully ignores the fundamental, non-negotiable wiring of the human brain, the very organ we are so desperately trying to connect with. Here's the good news, the ray of light in this fog of miscommunication. It does not have to be this way. There is a science to influence, a code that can be learned, a key that unlocks the door to being truly heard, deeply understood, and powerfully acted upon. In this audiobook summary, we are going to dismantle that trap, piece by piece. We will journey deep into the transformative wisdom of René Rodriguez's groundbreaking book, Amplify Your Influence. We will uncover the hidden drivers that secretly shape our decisions. We will decode the powerful formula that the world's most masterful communicators use instinctively. And you will discover, step by step, how to revolutionize the way you communicate, lead, and live forever. The architect of influence. Who is René Rodriguez? So, who is our guide on this transformative journey? Who is this man who claims to have cracked the code of human influence? René Rodriguez is not some armchair theorist. For over 2 decades, he has been in the trenches, living on the front lines, applying behavioral neuroscience in the high-stakes arena of the real world. As a dynamic keynote speaker, a trusted leadership advisor to top-tier companies, and a world-class sales expert, he has personally trained more than 100,000 people, from Fortune 500 CEOs to the elite warriors of the Navy SEALs, helping them conquer the most formidable challenges in leadership, sales, and personal transformation. Born between the vibrant, sun-drenched culture of Miami and the frosty, stoic winters of Minnesota, René was immersed in the vast spectrum of the human condition from a very young age. This unique duality fueled a relentless passion for understanding what truly makes people tick. He is an entrepreneur, the CEO of multiple companies, who isn't just teaching from a dusty textbook. He's teaching from a lifetime of high-stakes, real-world experience. And here's the crucial point. His work isn't about manipulation or cheap mind tricks. It's about ethically harnessing the single most powerful skill for success: influence. He masterfully bridges the gap between hard, empirical science and the intricate nuances of the human heart, providing us with a practical, repeatable blueprint for connection. His revolutionary approach, which he calls Amplify, TM, is your guide to getting your ideas not just communicated, but acted upon. In this detailed audiobook summary, we will unpack this powerful formula. We will begin by exploring the hidden architecture of the human mind and why, in communication, sequence is everything. Then, we will decode the 5 ancient, often forgotten keys to persuasion first identified by Aristotle. From there, we'll break down the 3 core components of the Amplify formula itself. How to frame your world, craft an unforgettable message, and secure it all with a masterful tie-down. We'll dive deep into the art and science of storytelling, discover how to command a room with your very presence, and learn a simple 4-letter word method to master one-on-one conversations. Finally, we'll equip you with the tools to tame the beast of stress ensuring you can access these skills when it matters most. Are you ready to discover how? The hidden architecture of your mind. Before we can build a skyscraper, we must understand the bedrock it rests on. And when it comes to the skyscraper of influence, the bedrock is the one thing every single person you will ever meet has in common: a brain. But here's the secret that almost everyone misses. We consistently try to communicate with others based on how we think, foolishly assuming they process information in the exact same way. This is the first and most catastrophic mistake. It's like trying to run software designed for a PC on a Mac. It simply will not compute. Life becomes infinitely easier, and your influence skyrockets when you learn to work with the sequence of the brain, not against it. So what is that immutable sequence? The brain has two primary, non-negotiable jobs. First, and above all else, its job is survival. It is constantly, relentlessly scanning your environment, asking one single primitive question over and over again. Am I safe? This isn't a logical, considered question. It's a gut-level, instantaneous reaction controlled by a part of your brain called the amygdala, your internal panic button. And guess what? This panic button is primitive. It doesn't know the difference between a physical threat, like a shark in the water, and a psychological threat, like the fear of judgment, criticism, or change. A new idea, a different strategy, a tough conversation. To your amygdala, these can all feel like a shark. When that threat is detected, your brain triggers a stress response, flooding your body with cortisol. And what happens when you're stressed? The logical, creative, open-minded parts of your brain shut down. It's a phenomenon called cortical inhibition. It's the scientific reason we do stupid things under pressure. Do you see how absolutely critical this is? If your message, your idea, or your very presence triggers this "am I safe" alarm, you have lost before you've even begun. They are biologically incapable of hearing you. Only after safety is firmly established does the brain move to its next question, governed by the limbic system, the seat of our emotions and values. This part of the brain asks, "Do you care about me?" This is the hub of connection, of rapport, of empathy. It's where branding firms spend billions of dollars trying to create a feeling. It's where lasting relationships are forged. And you'll never guess what science discovered about this part of the brain. It's an open-loop system. It's literally designed to be influenced and regulated by others. A genuine smile, an act of kindness, a story told with raw vulnerability. These are the keys that unlock this part of the brain. You cannot bypass this step. Logic is useless here. You must first show that you care. Then, and only then, does the brain grant access to the cerebral cortex, the center for logic, language, and problem solving. This part asks, is this engaging? Is this interesting? It craves novelty and data, but only if it feels safe and cared for first. And finally, you reach the pinnacle. The prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain. This is your future simulator. It's the part that asks the ultimate question. Is this inspiring? Does this align with my deepest values and goals? This is where true, lasting influence is born. When your message connects with someone's core values, inspiring them to take voluntary, enthusiastic action. Think about that sequence. Safe, cared for, engaged, inspired. This isn't just a communication theory, it's a non-negotiable biological and neurological roadmap. Every successful interaction you've ever had has followed this exact pattern, whether you realized it or not. The most powerful leaders, speakers, and communicators in the world are innate masters of this sequence. Now, you have the map. The secret language of influence, Aristotle's forgotten keys. You might be thinking, this brain science is fascinating, but is it new? The answer is a resounding no, and it might just surprise you. More than 2,000 years ago, the Greek philosopher Aristotle was the first to systematically recognize the power of persuasion. He identified the critical elements, the emotional appeals, that are absolutely necessary to move a person to action. You've likely heard of his famous rhetorical triangle: ethos, pathos, and logos. But here's what you probably don't know. There are two other, often forgotten appeals that are even more critical in today's hyper-distracted world. Let's decode all five, because mastering them will launch you into the stratosphere of influence. First, let's revisit the classics: Ethos is your credibility. It's your character. It's the answer to the listener's subconscious question, why on earth should I listen to you? Would you take financial advice from someone who is broke? Of course not. They have no ethos. But here's the trap most people fall into. They think they own their ethos. They believe their title, their years of experience, or their past successes grant them permanent, unshakable credibility. That is dangerously wrong. Your audience owns your ethos. They grant it to you as a privilege, and they can revoke it in a heartbeat. The moment you appear arrogant, unprepared, or disconnected, your ethos evaporates like mist. The greatest leaders understand this deeply. They know that having an audience's attention is a privilege, and they give back that granted ethos through humility, meticulous preparation, and genuine connection. You can build it by publishing articles, having a professional website, or getting a powerful endorsement. Next is pathos, the appeal to emotion. This is the heart, the story, the humor. It's the ability to create empathy. And here's the secret ingredient you won't hear in most business schools: vulnerability. We don't connect with stories of flawless perfection. We connect with stories of struggle. Imperfection is the glue of human connection. When a leader has the courage to share not just their triumphs, but their failures, their fears, their messy journey, that's when we lean in. That's when we feel a bond. Without pathos, even the most brilliant argument is just sterile data. It has no soul, and it will never, ever drive a change in behavior. And that brings us to logos, the appeal to logic. The facts, the figures, the plan. This is the solid structure that supports the soaring emotion. After the emotional high of a great story begins to fade, logos is what remains. It's the why that justifies the decision. It's the cure for buyer's remorse. Without logos, you have passion without a plan, boundless energy with no target. You need all three in perfect, dynamic harmony. Ethos gets them to listen. Pathos gets them to feel. Logos gets them to understand. But now we come to the forgotten keys. Are you ready for the secret sauce that separates the good from the truly great? The first is kairos. This translates from ancient Greek to timeliness or relevance. In the art of influence, kairos refers to delivering the right message at the perfect moment in a way that is profoundly relevant to your specific audience right now. It's about being in touch with the current era, the zeitgeist. Have you ever listened to a speaker use an outdated reference that made you physically cringe? They had ethos, maybe even pathos, but they lacked kairos. They lost the room because they were out of touch. For instance, René tells of an older speaker who lost his entire young audience by referring to a stewardess instead of a flight attendant. A small slip, but it instantly shattered his relevance. Kairos goes far beyond political correctness. It's about deep, customized relevance. It's weaving the immediate environment into your message, like when René, about to go on stage, saw a server deliver a sizzling cheese plate and used it in his opening. Our messages need a little more sizzle these days. That simple act of observation and integration showed he was present and connected. Kairos can make or break a deal. And the final, ultimate key, telos. In Greek, this means purpose or the end. In influence, telos is your ultimate aim. It's the core, essential purpose of your entire communication. What is the one thing you want your audience to walk away believing or doing? The telos of this very audiobook summary is to arm you with the skills to become a more powerful and ethical influencer. Without a clear telos, your message is just a rambling collection of interesting but disconnected facts. With a clear telos, every word, every story, every piece of data serves a single, powerful, unified purpose. Ethos, pathos, logos, kairos, and telos. These aren't just ancient Greek terms for a history quiz. They are the 5 indestructible pillars of influence. They are the language your audience's brain is biologically wired to understand. The biggest mistake you're making, and don't even know it. Now follow this line of reasoning very carefully. If the brain is hardwired for a specific sequence, safe, cared for, engaged, inspired, and it responds instinctively to a specific language, the 5 appeals of Aristotle, then what is the single biggest, most catastrophic mistake people make when they try to communicate? You are about to have an aha moment that will fundamentally change how you view every single conversation, negotiation, and presentation for the rest of your life. The biggest mistake is delivering your message out of sequence. It's that simple and that profound. We are taught from a young age to be direct, to be concise, to get to the point. When someone asks us a question, our reflex is to answer it immediately, in the here and now, completely stripped of any context or framing. And you know what happens in that instant? When you deliver a message without providing the context, the listener's brain is forced to create its own frame of reference to make sense of it. It has no choice. It frantically fills in the gaps with its own past experiences, its own hidden biases, its own unchecked assumptions. And in that precise moment, you have utterly lost control of your message. You've handed the keys to your listener and are just praying they drive in the right direction. It's a massive, unnecessary gamble. Let's watch this disaster unfold in real time. René Rodriguez tells the gripping story of Janice, a brilliant executive with a PhD, interviewing for the role of president at a global, multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. She's the total package, confident, radiating presence, exuding ethos from every pore. In a high-stakes mock interview, she's asked a seemingly simple question: tell us something you're most proud of in your life. She pauses for a moment, a picture of poise, and responds confidently, I earned straight A's my senior year in high school. Short, concise, to the point. Exactly how we're taught to answer, isn't it? Wrong. It was an unmitigated disaster. Why? Because she provided no context, no frame. The interviewer's brains immediately went into overdrive, creating their own narratives to fill the vacuum. What subconscious frames did they construct? Perhaps they saw her as a lazy procrastinator who only bothered to apply herself at the very end. Or maybe they pictured a spoiled, privileged kid who had everything handed to her on a silver platter. These subconscious frames were a universe away from her reality, and when she heard them voiced, it brought Janice to tears. Can you feel the devastating potential of this mistake? But hold on, because here is where it gets incredibly interesting. What if she had used the correct sequence? What if she had seized control and claimed the frame first? Instead of just spitting out the answer, imagine if she had started with the story. Imagine if she had said this: growing up, everyone told me I was stupid and would never amount to anything. When you hear that enough as a child, you start to believe it. I really struggled in school. But something happened my senior year. I looked in the mirror and said, I'm either going to believe them forever, or I'm going to do something about it and prove everyone wrong. And I did do something about it. Now, how do you feel? You feel the pathos, the struggle, the resilience. Her story has instantly created a powerful, positive frame. Your brain is no longer filling in the blanks, it's completely captivated. And now, when she delivers the exact same message, I got straight A's my senior year, it lands with the force of a thunderclap. It's no longer just a dry fact, it's an undeniable testament to her character, her grit, her will to succeed. This is the power of sequence. This is the power of claiming the frame. But wait. There's one more piece to this puzzle. The part that seals the deal. The part that forges true influence. That is where we are going next. The AMPLIFII formula, your ultimate weapon. We've seen the problem in stark relief. We've witnessed the devastating, career-sabotaging effects of communicating out of sequence. Now, we arrive at the elegant solution. The very core of René Rodriguez's life's work. The simple, repeatable, three-part formula for generating maximum impact and influence. This is the Amplify formula. And it is frame, message, tie-down. You've already seen this masterpiece of communication in action with Janice's story. Let's break it down, because this is your new blueprint. First, let's go deeper into frames. We need to unlearn our old habits of answering questions directly and without proper context. Think of communication as a timeline with a past, present, and future. Most miscommunication happens because we answer only in the present, the here and now, and assume our listener shares our same frame of reference. This is a recipe for disaster. A frame is a construct of reality that provides the psychological context we need to understand our world. Consider the profession used car salesman. What words immediately pop into your mind? Sleazy? Pushy? Untrustworthy? That negative frame is so powerful that when René says to an audience, "Don't worry, I'm a used car salesman, you can trust me," they erupt in laughter because the words are so incongruent with the frame. But what if you claim the frame first? René shares the story of his grandfather, a Cuban immigrant who came to America and was given a life-changing opportunity when one man believed in him and helped him get a car to expand his job search. That man, the hero of the story, was a used car salesman. Suddenly, by providing the story before the label, the negative frame is neutralized. The story, the context, the frame, becomes the hero. This is the essence of claiming the frame. You either provide it, or your audience will, and you cannot risk what frame they might choose. The frame is the context. It's the story. It is the psychological window through which you want your world to be viewed. Its job is to till the soil, to prepare the listener's mind, to create the emotional connection, the pathos that makes them receptive to your idea. The frame answers the brain's first two questions. Am I safe? And do you care about me? When you tell a compelling story, research shows your listener's brain releases oxytocin, the empathy hormone. This neurologically couples your brain with theirs. They begin to feel what you feel. They begin to trust you. Your story, your frame, is the essential bridge you must build to send your message across. Next is the message. This is your core idea, your value proposition. The one thing you want them to remember. For Janice, it was, "I got straight A's my senior year." Notice how the message itself is beautifully simple and clear. The frame is what imbues it with its power. The message is the seed. Once the soil has been perfectly tilled by your frame, you plant the seed. It's your key point, your data, your proposal. But just planting the seed isn't enough. You have to ensure it takes root and grows. You have to ensure it means something tangible to them. And that brings us to the master influencer's secret weapon, the tie-down. This is where the magic truly happens. This is where lasting influence is forged. The tie-down answers the listener's ultimate subconscious question. So what? What does this mean to me? Why should I care? It connects all the dots. It explicitly outlines the value of your story and your message in the direct context of what is important to your audience. You never, ever, ever assume they see the value. You tie it down for them. Let's return to Janice one last time. She has a powerful frame and an impactful message. But her influence objective is to get hired. So her tie-down must connect her story directly to that objective. She finishes with this masterpiece. I share that story with you because if I do get the opportunity to work with you and your team, there will be times when we will be under pressure with our backs against the wall. I promise you this. I'll be right out there working next to you as hard as I can to overcome the challenges in the same way I overcame challenges in my own personal life, but this time for you and your team. Boom. That is influence. The frame created the emotional movement. The message delivered the point. And the tie-down funneled all that potent energy directly into a specific, valuable promise that met her objective perfectly. She didn't just answer a question, she demonstrated her character, built unshakable trust, and made herself the only logical choice. Frame, message, tie-down. This is your new formula. It works for a job interview. It works for a sales pitch. It works for a keynote speech. It works for a difficult conversation with your child. It is the universal code for ethical and effective influence. Crafting the perfect message. Let's zoom in on the second part of our formula, the message. When people think about communication, this is usually what they focus on, often to the detriment of the frame and tie-down. But what is a message, really? For our purposes, a message is a verbal, written, or recorded communication that a listener needs to hear and understand from the presenter's unique perspective. The world is full of different types of messages, value propositions, key messages, mission statements, innovative ideas, action items, even difficult truths. All of them risk being misunderstood, which can cost time, relationships, and money. So what makes a message effective? First, it must be accurate and thorough. René tells a story of a CEO he worked with who was notorious for responding to detailed emails with short, lazy, non-actionable cliches like "rock on" or "you knocked it out of the park." His intent was to praise, But the result was confusion, frustration, and bottlenecks because his team had no clear direction. Everyone loses with lazy communication. In contrast, an effective message is clear, focuses on value, and is tailored to the audience. It's so clear that it eliminates the need for any assumptions. This is why copywriters are so valuable. They can find the hidden needs and articulate them clearly. Sometimes, a message is so good it becomes a template, like the perfect email René received from a top executive that laid out every detail for an upcoming event, the who, what, where, when, and why, including objectives, logistics, and next steps. That single, thorough message saved countless back-and-forth phone calls and emails. But what if your message is a cliché, like "we offer world-class service"? On its own, the phrase is meaningless. The secret is to qualify the cliché. You acknowledge it's a cliché up front. I know this sounds cliché, but we truly offer world-class service. Now let me explain exactly what that means to you. And then you tell the story that proves it. This simple technique shows you are self-aware and stops the audience from creating their own, likely dismissive, frame of what world-class service means. Your message is the precious seed. Without a well-prepared frame, it will fall on barren ground. But with the right context, it can take root and flourish into powerful, lasting influence. Your body speaks louder than words. Now consider this. You've meticulously crafted the perfect frame, an unforgettable message, and a powerful tie-down. You're ready. But there's another communication channel that is constantly broadcasting a message, whether you are aware of it or not. It's your body. And what's truly shocking is that research by Dr. Albert Mehrabian suggests that up to 55% of the emotional meaning in our communication comes not from our words, but from our body language. Add to that another 38% from our tone of voice, and you're left with a staggering reality. 93% of the emotional meaning of what you say is nonverbal. Your body introduces you long before you ever speak a single word. This is where self-awareness transforms from a soft skill into a superpower. Think back to the CEO who couldn't understand why his team didn't believe in his vision. René recorded him. When they played the video back frame by painful frame, they found the culprit. Every single time the CEO mentioned the financial projections, he made a nearly invisible micro-expression, a tiny frown. His words screamed confidence, but his body whispered doubt. His team didn't need to see the video. They could feel the incongruence. They knew, on a gut level, that he didn't believe the numbers, so how could they? The work of influence begins inside you. When you speak with authentic conviction, your body naturally aligns with your message. So, what should you do with your hands? This is the eternal question. René introduces a simple, powerful concept: the influence zone. Imagine a box in front of your body, extending from your belly button up to your eyes. When your hands are inside this zone, you are naturally more engaging and influential. When they drop to your sides, your influence plummets with them. Your home base should be your hands loosely together around your belly button. From here, you can gesture to emphasize a point and then seamlessly return home. It keeps you looking open, confident, and in control. And what about our new virtual world? This is what René calls digital body language. On a video call, that influence zone might need to move higher so your hands are visible. You have to be aware of the glare from your glasses, the unflattering shadows on your face, the angle of your camera. Are you looking at the camera lens to create eye contact? Or are you looking at their face on the screen, which makes you appear disconnected and disinterested? These tiny details make a monumental difference in creating connection and trust through a piece of glass. The bottom line is this: record yourself, watch your presentations, study your hallway walk. Are you open and approachable, or are you head down, rushing to the next task? Become a student of your own nonverbal cues. Because if your body is broadcasting a different message from your words, your audience will always believe your body. The love method: hacking one-on-one connections. Not everyone dreams of commanding a stage in front of thousands. But every single one of us deeply desires to connect better one-on-one. With our partners, our children, our clients, our teams. Yet for so many, the art of conversation has become a lost art form. We talk past each other, we impatiently wait for our turn to speak, we engage in superficial small talk that builds zero real connection. What if there was a clear sequence for powerful, one-on-one conversations? A way to take a cold, transactional relationship and warm it up quickly and authentically? There is, and it's all about love. This is René's powerful acronym for mastering conversation. Listen, observe, validate, and expand. Listen. This sounds deceptively simple, but it is by far the hardest part. And here's why. Most of us don't truly listen. We wait to talk. We're so busy formulating our brilliant response in our head that we completely miss what the other person is actually saying. True listening requires clearing your mind and having no agenda other than to deeply understand. And here's the game-changing technique. When you listen, your singular goal is to keep the spotlight firmly on them. If they say they're from Hawaii, your instinct is to immediately jump in with, "Oh, I love Hawaii. I went to this beach." You've just stolen the spotlight. The influential approach is to say, "That's incredible. What's your favorite part about living in Hawaii?" Keep the focus on them, learn about them. Dig for what there is to genuinely like about them. Observe. While you're listening, you're also observing. You're watching their body language, listening to their tone of voice, noticing the subtle inflections. Are their words congruent with their energy? Are they visibly passionate about a certain topic? You are gathering the crucial clues that will allow you to connect on a much deeper level. Validate. This is the most frequently missed step, and it is absolutely critical. Validation is reflecting back to them with genuine enthusiasm that you've heard them and are impacted by what they said. It can be as simple as, "Wow, that's fascinating," or "That must have been incredibly difficult." It's the intentional nod, the bright smile, the lean in that communicates, "I'm with you. I get it." Without validation, a conversation can feel like a cold interrogation. With validation, you create trust and psychological safety. Expand. This is how you transition from superficial to significant. Once you've listened, observed, and validated, you expand the conversation by asking deeper questions based on what you've learned. You don't just jump to a new, unrelated topic. You follow the thread. You dig into their passions, their values, their why. You move from lateral, surface-level questions to vertical, deep questions. Listen, observe, validate, expand. It's a continuous loop. When you master this cycle, you're not just having a conversation. You're creating a genuine human connection. You're building trust at an accelerated rate. And do you know what the best part is? It requires you to let go of the desperate need to be liked and instead proactively start liking other people. When your intention shifts from, "I hope they like me," to, "I wonder what's amazing about them," the fear of rejection evaporates. Because you're no longer trying to get something. You're trying to give your undivided attention. Taming the beast, mastering stress. We've covered the formula, the stories, the body language, and the art of conversation. You have all the tools. But all of it is rendered useless if you can't access it when you're under pressure. And let's be brutally honest, the moments you need influence the most are almost always the most stressful. The high-stakes presentation, the difficult conversation, the critical negotiation. This is where we must understand the epic battle raging inside our own minds, the battle between what Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman popularized as System 1 and System 2 thinking. System 1 is your fast, automatic, intuitive, and emotional brain. It's the part that detects hostility in a voice instantly. It's your survival instinct, your panic button. Its only job is to protect you from stress right now. System 2 is your slow, deliberate, analytical, and logical brain. It's the part that can solve a complex math problem, weigh the pros and cons of a major decision, and manage your behavior in a tense social setting. It takes significant effort and energy to use. Here's the problem. System 2 is at the complete and utter mercy of System 1. When stress hits, System 1 hijacks your brain. It screams, "Danger, abort," and all your brilliant logical System 2 plans go up in smoke. Procrastination is the perfect, painful example. The thought of starting a big, intimidating project creates stress. System 1's immediate, genius solution? Put it off until tomorrow. The stress vanishes for the moment. System 1 wins again. You see this battle play out everywhere. So how do the elite performers, the Navy SEALs, the champion athletes, the top CEOs manage this? They don't eliminate stress. They learn to manage it. They train their bodies and minds to stay in the driver's seat of System 2, even under extreme pressure. And you can too. One of the most powerful and accessible techniques is box breathing, also known as square breathing. It's deceptively simple. You inhale for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold the exhale for a count of 4. This 4-4-4-4 pattern has a direct, calming physiological effect. It triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest system, which counteracts the fight or flight response of your sympathetic nervous system. Just a few rounds of this can bring you back from the brink of a System 1 hijack, allowing you to access your logic, your creativity, and your hard-earned skills. Another powerful tool is progressive relaxation. This involves systematically tensing and then relaxing different muscle groups throughout your body. This technique does more than just relax you. It builds an acute awareness of where you physically store your stress. With practice, you can identify that tension building in your shoulders or jaw during a difficult meeting and consciously release it, calming your entire system without anyone ever knowing. These aren't just feel-good exercises. They are physiological weapons to manage your internal state so you can perform at your absolute best when it counts the most. Master your stress, and you master your ability to influence. Your final checklist for unstoppable influence. We've been on an incredible, transformative journey. We've deconstructed the insidious trap of ineffective communication and revealed the keys to unlocking profound and ethical influence. Everything you've learned can now be distilled into a simple, powerful 10-point checklist. This is the exact process René Rodriguez follows every time he crafts a message, and it is your new blueprint for success. Who is my audience? This is always the first and most important question. It's not about you, it's about them. What is my influence objective, I.O.? Be specific and tangible. What is the very next action you want to happen? What is my value proposition or core message? This is the seed you want to plant. What frame best sets up my message? Your origin story, a shocking statistic, a prop. Choose your bridge wisely. Is my ethos, credibility, in good standing? Do I have credibility? Are there any threats I need to preempt? Does my frame trigger the appropriate pathos, emotions? Have I connected with their heart? Does my message make logical, logos sense? Is there a clear, simple plan of action? Is my tie-down clear? Does my audience understand explicitly what this message means to them? Is my message relevant and current, kairos? Am I in touch with their world right now? Am I clear on my ultimate purpose, telos? Do I know exactly where I am going with this? This checklist is your guide, not for delivery, but for creation. And now that you have the tools, the real work begins. The world's greatest athletes don't just know the rules. They practice with an intensity that is 10 times harder than the game itself. They embrace failure in practice, so they can achieve greatness in the arena. The late Kobe Bryant, with his legendary Mamba mentality, would wake up before sunrise to train, drenched in sweat while his teammates were still asleep, all to gain a subtle edge. The skills in this book require that same mentality. You will need to fail. You will need to make mistakes. You will need to feel awkward. But if you are failing, it means you are in the game. You are in the arena of life, not a passive bystander in the stands. So, let me ask you a few questions to see if you have truly grasped the power of what you've learned. What is the 3-part formula that is the master key to unlocking influence? Frame, message, and tie-down. What is the most powerful framing device you possess? Your story. What is the 4-letter acronym for mastering one-on-one conversation, and what does it stand for? Love. Listen, observe, validate, and expand. And the final, most important question. The cavalry isn't coming to save you. The inspiration you've been waiting for is already here. It's you. What will you do with it? Will you set this knowledge aside and allow your life to return to the way it was? Or will you make the conscious decision to find your voice, put in the relentless work, and take the bold, courageous steps necessary to positively influence the world? The journey won't be easy, but I can promise you, it will be worth it. Now go and let your heart speak in sequence. Don't stop here. If this audiobook summary resonated with you, I strongly encourage you to buy and read René Rodriguez's full book, Amplify Your Influence, to continue your journey of growth and transformation.